Hello and welcome to this episode on Fixing India's Governance. I am Vivian Fernandez. In Uttar Pradesh, the fence is eating the grass. Mayawati's government is virtually expropriating farmers. Vast tracts of land on either side of the expressway connecting Noida and Agra, running parallel to the river Yamuna, are being notified for acquisition for industrial, commercial and residential purposes. Farmers are being forced to sell triple crop land at unhappy rates. They have resisted, they have been fired upon, some have died. The mass discontent shows the anxiety and damage that a bad law implemented in bad faith can cause. But Mayawati is not the only one. Across the country, politicians in power see the craft of state as that of real estate. In the name of infrastructure development, industrial growth and export promotion, farmers are being put to loss. Injustice is being done on a grand scale. In his debut book, Superpower, author Raghav Bahl sees the prairie fires of protests across India against land grab by the state as a strength of our democracy. He contrasts this with the quiet and brutal efficiency with which the Chinese government has evicted millions of farmers for infrastructure development. The Tatas, he says, would not have had to flee Shingur if they had negotiated directly with farmers.
You can't do this in a totalitarian manner. So your law has to be such that the people from whom land is taken are given not just sympathy, but they're given a genuine stake. They're given more than economic return. They are given equity return on the land that they are tendering it.
On the 26th of August, affected farmers from UP's Yamuna belt assembled in Delhi's Parliament Street to tell Prime Minister Manmohan Singh not to hide behind Mamata Banerjee. They were brought there by Ajit Singh, the IIT-educated son of Chaudhry Charan Singh, with a reputation for opportunism. The UP land grab is cutting into Ajit Singh's political constituency of land-owning Jats and Muslims. The protesters fear that Mayawati will be undeterred so long as she is assured of Dalit support. Hence the pressure on the central government to quickly amend the colonial 1894 land acquisition law.
We met the Prime Minister about this yesterday. With our MPs, I met them. And then we said that it's been more than 2 years. They brought it, UPA, one had brought that land amendment bill. And then he said, oh, Mamata ji, this thing and that thing. That's not the reason. If for nuclear energy bill they can talk to BJP and every party, why couldn't they talk to opposition about it? And I talked to Mamata ji also. Her contention was that she only wants to make this bill much more stronger or stricter than what the government is proposing.
Mamata Banerjee says the government should have no role in acquiring land for industrial purposes. She wants those setting up projects to negotiate directly and pay market prices. The government says the state must have a partial role. It could have pushed for a middle ground but did not till Rahul Gandhi took up the issue with the Prime Minister after the Yamuna Expressway protests. These farmers say Mamata is right. They do not mind parting with strips of land for roads, highways and railways provided they are not deprived of the consequent benefit whether by state agencies or by politicians in association with project developers.
किसान अपनी जमीन का खुद मालिक है, खुद उसका भाव वो तय करे, किसान ना कि गवर्नमेंट तय करे। जमीन के मालिक हमें न कि सरकार हो। हमारा 420 से जमीन अधिग्रहण करी जा रही है। हम किसी भी तरीके से मर जाएंगे चाहे कुछ कट जाएंगे, अपनी जमीन को किसी भी तरीके से नहीं देंगे, नहीं देंगे, नहीं देंगे।
After protests against land grab by state governments in Shingur, Nandigram, Raigad, Kalinganagar and elsewhere on behalf of industry, the UPA government introduced an amendment bill in December 2007. The amendment was an attempt to balance the interests of farmers and industry. It narrowed the definition of public purpose to strictly mean defense and infrastructure purposes. For industrial projects, the government could step in after 70% of land had been bought. This was to prevent projects from being held up or to provide them access to roads and railways.
Actually, we took a few factors into consideration. The first one was that when government steps in to acquire land, there is a lot of resentment because the government is actually acquiring the property of one citizen in favor of another citizen, who is richer and better off. The other factor was that when government steps in, people tend to acquire too much land, much more than they actually require. Thousands and thousands acres of land. Whereas when someone goes for purchase of land directly, they tend to be more economical.
The bill was reviewed by a 30-member parliamentary committee headed by BJP Turncoat and then Samajwadi Party member Kalyan Singh. All of them, including CPM member Hannan Molla, Congress MP Sandeep Dixit and DMK leader M. Karunanidhi's daughter Kanimozhi, said the government must acquire 100% of the land for industries. They said partial acquisition was discriminatory.
They felt, which was not a correct perception according to me, but their perception was it will create two classes of people. 70% of whom was in a project whose land would be bought directly, and hence the government would not do rehabilitation and resettlement packages for them, and the remaining 30% inside whose land government would acquire and for whom government would do rehabilitation and resettlement. But that's a fallacy, because these 30% would lose their bargaining power in any case.
The Kalyan Singh-led committee of MPs professed concern for farmers, but there is little evidence that it strove to secure the best interests. It dismissed as impractical a proposal that farmers losing land should be individually informed. It said low and middle income housing was a valid ground for acquiring land, opening the door to realtors. It voted for higher compensation based on sale deeds when it is well known that sale deed values are understated to avoid stamp duty and there is no free market in farmland as it is generally sold in distress. He should have insisted on land use being changed prior to acquisition so that losers would get a better price. Instead, it opposed collectors from being empowered to make inquiries about intended land use before awarding compensation.
What we are proposing is first that public purpose should be redefined. Where the government does anything, that's public purpose. Where they give it to the private people, that's not public purpose. It's their purpose. Second thing is give the market rate even when government acquires it. And market rate depends on how you are going to use that land. If tomorrow I build housing or shops on that land, its price will go up. So it should be determined based on the intended use.
A keener sense of justice than that exhibited by MPs who reviewed the Land Acquisition Amendment Bill can be found in the 2009 report of Infrastructure Development Finance Company. That report said that even for infrastructure and defense purposes, there must be third-party valuation. For industrial purposes, a registry must be opened at the collectorate and the industrial developer must make an open offer, like an open offer for shares, declaring why they want to buy the land and offering to pay to all the highest price paid to any one of them. The sponsors of the report also prescribed a higher test of consent than that proposed in the lapsed amendment, because consent from the owners of 70% of land could still make it unfair on small holders.
70% of title holders as a principle is important.
It is the farmers along the Yamuna Expressway who are paying the price for the Union Cabinet's failure to resolve its internal conflict over the Land Acquisition Amendment Bill. Here in Tappal, 4 persons, including a policeman, were killed mid-August in police firing after farmers turned violent over the arrest of their leader. This family says his 13-year-old son, Rafiq, studying in the 8th standard, was among the protesters. He has been missing since then and it believes the worst.
उसको पुलिस शासन उठा के भी ले गया, मगर आज तक 14 तारीख से और आज तक उसका न मृतक का न ही जिंदे का कोई भी पता आज तक कोई नहीं दिया हमें.
The farmers are not objecting to the 165-kilometer 8-lane expressway. It is light on land, just 1,635 hectares. But they ask why they should pay for the project in the form of subsidized land for a township to develop a JP Infratech. Initially, the Mayawati government offered 436 rupees a square meter to farmers in Tappal. When they protested, it tried to win them over by offering 14 rupees more. But when the agitation turned violent and people were killed, it tried to buy their peace by jacking up the rate overnight by 120 rupees.
जबरदस्ती तो प्रशासन ने हमारी जमीन ले ली. हमारी जमीन में हमारे नाम के आगे जेपी का नाम एंट्री कर दिया. हमने अपनी जमीन का कोई करार नहीं किया और हमारी फसल पलट दी. कोई फसल का मुआवजा नहीं लिया. हम अपनी जमीन जोतना चाहते हैं, देना नहीं चाहते. यही हमारे खाने कमाने का धंधा है.
मेरे साथ में जबरदस्ती हुई है, जबरदस्ती करार कराने की कोशिश की है, लेकिन मैंने करार नहीं किया और मैं अपनी जमीन को 50 लाख रुपए बीघे में बेचना नहीं चाहता हूँ.
ट्यूबवेल नष्ट कर दी, नाली नष्ट कर दी, रूख उखाड़ दिए, जबरदस्ती जमीन को कब्जो ले लियो सरकार ने. लेकिन हम सिमरन कोर्ट में भी गए, केस लड़ रही, और हमारी तो ये जिद है कि हम जमीन देंगे ना काई भाव काई कीमत पे, क्योंकि जमीन दे के हमारे हाथ में कटोरा, हम अपने बाल कन्न कहाँ ले जाएंगे।
मायावती सरकार भ्रष्ट सरकार है सर, हमारे इतने लोग मरवा दिए और उनकी तरफ कुछ नहीं सोचा सर, और एक लोग गायब है, अभी तक प्रशासन ने कुछ नहीं करके दिया हमको।
JP Infratech has been allowed to develop 5 townships along the expressway and put 25 million square feet of space on sale. In an interview to CNBC TV18, Manoj Gaur of JP Infratech said land had been acquired by the concerned government agency at negotiated rates which had been revised 6 times.
When the project was awarded in 2003, the circle rate have gone up by more than 700% in last 6 years. And that is so that the farmers are happy to give the land. And as far as this protest is concerned, this is taken a bit of a ugly turn because of some demonstration took place and the police had to fire.
On Friday, September 3rd, Mayawati's government gave in to protesters. It decided to scrap the township project in Tappal.